Yo guys, and welcome to episode 1 of my Planetside 2 basics video series. I'm going to try and explain the basics of the upcoming but currently still in beta game called Planetside 2. Now if you have been following a few of my videos, then you probably will have seen me or heard me talking about this over the past couple of months in bits and bobs, but the beta's NDA now has been lifted, so I can start sharing some content with you guys about the game. I wouldn't say it's the easiest game to grasp. There's certain things that may overwhelm you, or certain things that maybe you can play the game without really knowing too much about, but if you do know the little ins and outs, it will help you have a better experience. So basically this series is going to go through all the things. I'm going to go through the map, the resources, the spawns, the player classes, and all of that. But this first one's going to be about the map and the resources, so you can get a heads up before get ahead of the competition. So without further ado, let me get into it, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, so let me start by giving some general information before we delve into this episode. Now, Planetside 2 is an MMO FPS. It is set, or you play on what is called a continent, rather than like a normal map or level you may have in other FPS games. This entire continent is broken up into sections or territories, and each one of these sections is fought over by one of the three factions that's within the game. You have the Terran Republic, the New Conglomerate, and the Vanu Sovereignty. Now when you start the game, you pick a character name and you choose a faction that you fight for, and you are locked into this decision. However, you can then go back afterwards, add or remove characters as you wish. Now there is a fierce rivalry within the game. You tend to find people will just stick with the one faction, and they'll probably be playing the faction that they played in Planetside. So there is quite a loyalty in that regard. Now each one of these factions has a distinctive colour, so you can distinguish between them on the battlefield. The Terran Republic is red with some black. The New Conglomerate is yellow and blue, and the Vanu Sovereignty is purple and green. Now this will be shown on their models, their uniforms, if you like, but also on the areas. When you attack an area, you'll be able to see the flag or the sign of this faction that is holding that area, so you can easily distinguish which other faction is holding it. Each faction has a different feel and different type of weapons. Some are futuristic, some more classic and old school, and that kind of depicts the difference between wealth and technology that each of the factions has. Now on Planetside 2, the map is one of the most important and valuable tools you can have. More so than any other game, just because of its importance and its impact. There are lots of parts to the map, and not all of them will be covered in this video, so if there is anything I don't cover, don't panic just yet. It will be covered at some point in the next few videos. Now, as you can see here, when I click the map button on M, the map shows the entire continent that you are currently playing on, and it's divided into sections or territories. As you can see here, each of these territories is shaped like a hexagon, but some are one hexagon, some are two, some are three, some are four, all grouped together. Now, each one of these sections or territories is controlled by one of the three factions in the game. And each of these factions fight for these territories throughout the battle. Now, holding these territories has more of an impact than just controlling a flag on, say, battlefield. Each one of these territories shows as a hexagon here on the map, holds a valuable resource that Planetside factions and players require. Now, by holding these territories, your faction gains the resources that this particular territory has. Now, on this particular map here, you can see that the red here is the Terran Republic, the purple is the Vanu Sovereignty, and the blue is the New Conglomerate. So you can see which faction is controlling most of the map, and right now it's the New Conglomerate. They hold this entire upper section here. Now, these exclamation marks that are on the map, I'm not going to cover exactly how to use those, but these are instant action areas. These are actions on the map where there is action currently taking place, and this system allows you to basically click one of these exclamation marks and spawn into that particular area to help your team out. Now there are 4 resources in Planetside 2, and I will explain all their purpose in a little bit, but right now all you really need to know is their names. Now they're called Araxium, which is the blue icon over here. Then you've got Polymers, which is the green icon. You've got Catalysts in orange, and then you've got Alloys, which are in yellow. Now there's another way that you can see these as well, should you choose to. If I exit from the map and go to my HUD, in the bottom left hand corner, just above the map there, you can see those resources shown as well. So if you're on the map or you're on your HUD, you can see exactly how many resources your team does have. Now, not only will you gain resources by holding these positions, your faction will also automatically get a certain amount of resources over a specified amount of time given to you. Now, this is based on the amount of areas that your team holds. So the more areas you hold, the more resources you will automatically get given at certain periods of time. Now, this is shown here on the right hand side. So for instance, right next to Araxium, it says plus 20. So on the next time around, our faction will automatically get 20 Araxium. Same for Polymers, Catalysts, and Alloys. So you can keep an eye on exactly what your faction is going to get on the next time around. Now, moving on to a little bit more detail in regards to resources, Araxium is probably the most prized resource and the most used. It's generally found in territories or hexes, shall I say, that have a biolab, tech plant, or amp station. You can see here, this is Araxium here. It's quite a large area. Another large area with Araxium in. Again, you'll tend to find these big areas have Araxium. The smaller areas will have Catalysts, Alloys, and Polymers. And they tend to be more rural areas as well. Now, Araxium, which is the blue one here, that is used to buy new infantry weapons, vehicle attachments, certain implants, which I will go into on another video, and certain vehicles as well. Polymers, they are primarily used to purchase land vehicles, but they can be used for grenades and proximity mines. And catalysts are mainly used for heavy assault vehicles, such as the Vanguard, Liberator, those sorts of things. Again, if you don't know what they are, don't worry, I will go over that in another video. Alloys, if I'm perfectly honest, I'm not 100% sure what they're used for. If you do know though, feel free to let me know, and I can add that in another video. So in a nutshell, that is essentially the map. Now, knowing this map will help you overall into in learning the game. It's going to help you know exactly where you need to go, what resources you and your team need to attack or defend. Your team, for instance, or faction might really need Araxium, or they might need Polymers. Maybe they need some heavy vehicles, and catalysts are what you need. That can dictate where you're going to attack or defend, and that basically influences the game. As you can see there, which just happened, this whole area here was lost from the new conglomerate. Vanu Sovereignty took that area over. Again, up here, the Terran Republic have just taken that area away. Right, a huge gap here from where their current territory is. And that is the beauty of Planetside 2. This map is forever changing, and helping your team out where these areas are needed, for instance, these hotspots as they're called, that could be the difference between, winning or losing the overall battle. Now, in the next video, I'm going to be covering weapons and going into a bit more detail on them and the attachments and whatnot and the classes. So stay tuned for that. I hope this video was informative. There's lots more to come on Planetside 2. I'm trying to break it down a little bit though, so it's not too boring for you all, because there's certain elements that are a little bit maybe not as simple as some of the other just point and click FPS games. So stay tuned, like and subscribe if you liked, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.